To kickstart the award program today, please welcome to the stage CHPC Board President and co-founder of Curtis and Ginsberg Architects, Mark Ginsberg.
I'm honored to be here to introduce Sideya Sherman. But before I do that, I'm going to go off script for a quick moment to recognize and thank our Executive Director, Howard Slatkin, for his efforts related to the city charter reform that passed in November. His thoughtful analysis of the land use process and challenges, recommendations, and testimony helped to shape some of the successes we are about to talk about today. Please join me in a round of applause for Howard. Hopefully he's still talking to me. And now for my introduction. CHPC has always valued our collaborative relationship with public agencies, including the Department of City Planning. We aim to provide research that extends their ability to do great work, and they were even generous enough to provide us with an executive director a few years ago. DCP does much more than writing and applying zoning. It also conducts neighborhood planning, manages the review of land use applications, tracks the city's population, housing, and land use needs. And now, city planning has a new set of land use review processes that can be game changers for tackling our housing crisis and creating a more equitable city. As chair of the City Planning Commission, director of the Department of City Planning, Sideya Sherman brings us 2 decades of experience in community and economic development, urban planning, and racial justice. We are excited to see what she will be able to accomplish, particularly with these new processes in place. It is with my great pleasure to welcome to the stage Sideya Sherman.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right. Thank you, Mark, and everyone at CPHC for bringing us all here together. And I'm glad we had an opportunity to hear from Mayor Mondani earlier in today's program. It is an honor to recognize Richard Buery, Alec Schierenbeck, and the 2025 Charter Revision Commission for their work addressing our city's housing crisis and their efforts to build a more inclusive, affordable neighborhoods across New York City. We all know New York City faces a profound housing shortage. The apartment rental vacancy rate is 1.4%, the lowest rate since 1968. Half of all tenants are rent burdened, paying over 30% of their income on rent. And we know that housing scarcity has a way of reinforcing historic inequities. After all, where you live shapes your access to jobs, education, health, and opportunity, something many of us, including myself, have experienced directly. So our housing shortage is not simply a policy problem. It's an existential threat to the fabric of our city. How we address it will determine the future of our city, who gets to live here, and the life opportunities that they have. What Richard, Alec, and the commission did was tackle this challenge head on. They named something that we see every day, but has proven so difficult to address, that our land use and public review process is often too slow, unpredictable, and shaped by a narrow set of voices. As a result, projects stall, affordable housing doesn't get built, and too many neighborhoods remain closed to growth, year after year, decade after decade. Through a rigorous and inclusive process, Richard and Alec arrived at measures to address this problem head on, to expedite review of affordable housing, tackle geographic inequities, and better balance local and citywide interests. These were not easy issues to take on, and the outcome by no means was assured. But come November, voters overwhelmingly approved every measure on the ballot, and I think that deserves a round of applause. The message was clear. New Yorkers want more housing, especially affordable housing, and they want it built faster. Fast forward a few months, and we're hard at work implementing these measures. The expedited land use review process is up and running with projects like 351 Powers Avenue in the Bronx, Yeah. Moving on a much shorter timeline, the BSA and appeals boards are operational, and the Affordable Housing Fast Track is moving forward. Just this week, the CPC voted to approve this methodology. Yes, and when it goes into effect in January, it will be a powerful tool to achieve fairer, balanced growth in our city. So Richard and Alec and everyone at the Commission, thank you for your leadership, your willingness to take on hard issues, and the lasting impact of your work. Thanks to you, New York City will say yes to more housing more consistently and more fairly across our city. We are fortunate to have leaders like Richard and Alec in our city. As we know, Richard has been a leader for champion of working families and communities for decades, and I have the good fortune of working with Alec at the Department of City Planning, where he serves as our chief counsel. Even in my short time there, I've seen how central he is to everything that we do. With Mayor Mandani laser focused on making sure New York is more affordable and livable, this is a moment of real opportunity. And Alec's energy, creativity, and commitment to moving the needle for New Yorkers has been essential to the ambitious work program that we're putting together. So with that said, I am pleased to present CPHC's Impact for Housing Award to Richard Buery, Alec Schierenbeck, and the work of the 2025 Charter Revision Commission. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Sideya. I appreciate it. There is really no one better situated to lead this work than you, so congratulations. Very excited that you're in that role. And it's great to be with you here today. My name is Rich Buery. I have the real honor of leading the Robin Hood Foundation. Our mission is a simple one. It's to fight poverty in New York City. And one of the tools that we use to understand the experience of those living in poverty in New York City is something called a poverty tracker, where every quarter we survey a sample of thousands of New Yorkers every year to try to understand what the experience of New Yorkers are. We know from the poverty tracker that 26% of us live in poverty. That's the highest rate since we began tracking this data over a decade ago. And that data is all from 2024, so that's before H.R. 1, before cuts to Medicaid and SNAP and housing programs that are now bearing down on the city. In addition to measuring income poverty, we also measure material hardship. So trying to understand, regardless of your income, can you pay the rent? Are you struggling to keep the lights on, to put food on the table, or to see a doctor when you're sick? And the data there is even more disturbing, that even if you have an income up to 200% of the poverty line, that's $100,000 for a family of four, you're still struggling to make ends meet. And that represents 60% of our neighbors. We know, of course, in this room that the single biggest driver of that hardship is the cost of housing. 3/4 of New Yorkers living in poverty are rent burdened. Rent is eating up 72% of their income each month. When you're poor, shelter eats up every resource you have. And we know that housing drives so much else. Your access to jobs, to healthcare, the quality of your school, your social network. So much about how you live is deeply tied up in where you live, or whether you have anywhere to live at all. Robin Hood has been fighting this fight since 1981. We made our first housing grant to Housing Works and Harlem United to serve New Yorkers living with HIV/AIDS. We're proud that we've helped to build and preserve affordable housing. We've helped expand eviction prevention programs like Right to Counsel and rental assistance programs, including the Housing Access Voucher Program. We've helped launch innovative organizations like Anthos Home, and we fought for NYCHA, including by supporting CHPC's groundbreaking resident engagement work. Most of our work has centered around supporting low-income tenants and New Yorkers experiencing homelessness, but we know that ultimately the best way to support those New Yorkers is to build more affordable housing for them. That's why, although I'm not a ULURP expert like Howard, I agreed when Maria Torres Springer invited me to chair this commission. Hi, Maria, I know you're here somewhere. You owe me a couple of meals, I think. And that's why this award means so much. It's really because of who's giving it. Howard and the Citizens Housing and Planning Council have been doing this essential work of making the city more livable for decades. I also want to thank my good friend Alec. And I have to say, I've worked in a lot of places. I've worked with a lot of public servants. You are, without a doubt, one of the most effective, impactful, intelligent, brilliant people I've had the chance to work with. And I really do mean that. In fact, I'm grateful for being here and that I would not have met you otherwise. I also want to accept this award, of course, on behalf of my fellow commissioners, Sharon, Grace, Carl, Kathy, Anita, Lizette, Anthony, Shams, Valerie, Julie, Diane, and of course, Layla, our new deputy mayor. Of course, to the incredible staff of the commission who worked so hard to get us across the finish line, and especially to all of you. These recommendations, of course, were built on the testimony of hundreds of New Yorkers and the wisdom and experience of so many of you in this room. As you heard, we really received a mandate from voters to build more affordable housing in every neighborhood in New York City. We're already seeing results. An affordable housing project in Mott Haven approved in months instead of in 90 days instead of 7 months. New units in Queens in a district that previously had rejected all new housing developments, nearly all new housing developments. And I know that these are just tools. I know, as we heard, we have more tools we have to create, as the mayor announced. But I also know that what we did really mattered and will really make a difference. And I'm proud to know that we'll be a better city because of it. So I'm really grateful for this honor and happy to give the mic to my friend Alec.
Thank you, Sideya. Thank you, Rich. And thank you to CHPC for this very moving recognition. The idea behind this Charter Revision Commission was simple, that there is a profound gap between New Yorkers' appetite for action to solve our housing crisis and the capacity of our political system to deliver it. That is, of course, a problem for housing. But it is also more fundamentally a problem for democracy when the will of majorities of voters consistently fails to translate into policy. There are problems direct democracy is not well suited to address. But when the very structure of a political system prevents elected representatives from solving a problem on their own, charter revision allows the people themselves to rewire those institutions to attempt to achieve something different. In November, more than 1.1 million New Yorkers voted yes to these reforms, with some majorities in parts of the city where affordable housing has scarcely been built in a generation. Their votes send a message about the enormity of our housing crisis, true, but more deeply about New Yorkers' desire to see a government that can act with the urgency and scale that our challenges require. New Yorkers have given the city new tools, but tools don't use themselves. Now it's up to our city's leaders to shape what they mean, to use them deliberately but vigorously, and ultimately to translate New Yorkers' demands at the ballot box into action. On behalf of the staff of the commission, including John Mangin, Casey Berkovitz, Maddie Labadie, Klava Brodsky, Adam Brodheim, and so many more, thank you so much.
Thank you.